Here's how the kit comes together. So far I've used two types of M1.4 screws. 10mm for the screws where the links will be going in, and the rest were 5mm length screws. Welcome back to Big Hobbies. In my earlier video, I announced that I'm starting up a new LCG build for Axial SCX24 using the Killr Chassis Spectr Kit. I mentioned that it's a competition chassis for 124 scale RC rock crawlers and what comes with the Spectr Chassis Kit. In today's video, I'm going to start the build by going over the components that I'll be using. As for the donor, I'm taking apart my E1 rock bouncer and leveraging most of the components from it for this build. Let's take a closer look of the components that I plan to use for this build. Here's how the kit comes together. So far I've used two types of M1.4 screws. 10mm for the screws where the links will be going in, and the rest were 5mm length screws. The chassis is made of polycarbonate carbon fiber, but the rest of the parts are 3D printed. So just take your time and make sure not to over tighten them. For axles, I'll be reusing the stock front and rear axles. The front axles already have a couple of brass items installed. Hot racing brass knuckles and the brass diff cover, and I'll be reusing them. For this project, I need to decide on which route I'm going to go on the motor. The cheapest route will be to use the stock motor and with the stock ESC. The next level up will be to go with a motor that is very similar to the stock one, but one that is just a little bit larger for a little bit more power, such as the barrage motor. It's a decent motor that people are pretty happy with. The other option at the other end of the spectrum will be to take full advantage of the brushless setup. They produce more power and are more efficient when compared to motor of the same size. And the best part is that in general no maintenance is required. But the cost is much higher on those systems. For this build, I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it brushed or go with the brushless setup. But I would like to run 3S LiPo battery, so that means the stock ESC won't work. This is one area that will need to be decided. The Spectr chassis is designed to use the C10 chip length links. The owner confirmed that the stock links will work, but he also told me that the chassis really shines when you use the high clearance links for Spectr from RC Steve 710. So I ordered the set, and here it is. I wasn't overly impressed with the Trio's 214 teeth overdrive option for the SCX24, which gave about 14% overdrive. Since then, Trio has released the 213T overdrive gears, which offers about 23% overdrive. So I'm going to give that a try in this build. For the servo, I'll be reusing the AJFRC servo. It is basically a rebranded Riffs Micro 99, which should provide all the steering power and the speed that I need for the LCG build. For the shocks, I normally run a modified stock shocks on my SCX24s. They work extremely well, but I am going to go full out on this build. So I'll be using the Hot Racing Axial aluminum threaded oil emulsion shocks, part number SXTF326RX04. I am very impressed with the tires, wheels, and foams of my Gladiator. So I'll be using the same setup. For tires, I'll use the Proline Hyrex 1.0 with Color Innovations micro foams for the front and the stock Proline foams in the rear. As for wheels, I'm going to go with Trio 1.0 metal beadlock wheels with the brass inner rings for the front and aluminum inner rings for the rear. This setup will add 21.6 grams to the front end. A big shout out to Killr Chassis for the opportunity to be able to show everyone my take on this new chassis. Hope you found the information helpful and useful. If you like the contents of this video, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like and the notification bell to be notified when new contents are uploaded. Thanks for watching Big Song Hobbies.